Welcome everyone to Overcome Podcast, episode 47. Today we have ultra athlete with us. Her name is Pollyann Keller. Pollyann, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Pollyann, I was looking to your site, Foster Kids to Ultra Athlete, and I really enjoy the quote from you that you wrote there, which says, choose not only to overcome your past, but work to transcend it. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And it matches with the name of the show, Overcome. So let's talk about how everything started. Tell us a little bit about your story and some of the most difficult moments that you had to overcome to get your mindset, what it is, and putting things together, and to actually your first race.
So, I guess my earliest childhood memory is just watching my dad pull my mom by her hair down the road. It was just a home full of domestic violence. Kind of went in and out of the battered home shelters for women. And then finally, my mom divorced my dad. It was still a real struggle. And then, unfortunately, we realized my mom was paranoid schizophrenic. And
Hmm.
she beat us children. And so, about the age of 9, ended up in foster care, um, kind of in and out of the foster care system where we were also sexually abused. And then we ended up back with our father after a few years in the foster care system, which started out amazing. He got his life together, got his children back with him. However, it didn't last long. Before we knew it, he was back on the drugs and alcohol. And so it ended up to be a very um, difficult childhood till about age 17. And about age 17, I graduated, barely, but I graduated, left home, went to California. And at that point, I just decided I wasn't going to be like my parents. I wasn't going to drink alcohol, use drugs. I was obese at the time. I just wanted to lose the weight. Um, so I set out on a journey, but it only lasted about a year. Got into a real bad situation, got back out, moved around quite a bit. And then I started college and unfortunately ended up into a few domestic violence relationships. Got out of those, got back in college. Took me about 10 years, but I did graduate with my social
Hmm.
work degree. But during that time, I met the love of my life, which was my husband, and we had 3 kids together. Um, and I decided, after having the 3 kids, I decided to finish my degree. So I did that. And then I decided to do my first marathon after I had my last child. He was about 9, 10 months. I just
Hmm.
remember because I I had to finish the marathon, hurry back, and pump because I was breastfeeding at the time. So I'll never forget that first marathon. And my husband did it with me. And since then, I've done like over 120 marathons. And
Wow.
like, well, I was like, let me do one marathon. And then I was like, let me try and qualify for Boston. So I did. And then I was like, let me try to do 100 marathons. So I did the 100 marathons. And then a friend told me, he said, you can do an Ironman. So I just went out, bought an $800 bike, made my own little plan, taught myself to swim, and did my first Ironman. And now, my then we just finished the 50 states a couple weeks ago. Me and my husband together finished the 50 states. And now the big goal is to do a 100-mile ultra. So that's what's on the agenda next.
Wow. Unbelievable. That's amazing, and there's a lot of things to explore from that because well, let's start from the beginning. Of course, I mean your first marathon. I probably at that point you probably were not obese anymore, right? After your first kid, or did you have to lose weight first to then do the marathon, or you just did with the weight that you were?
The weight I was. I lost some weight. As soon as I left home, I was able to get on a. I never quit working out. From that day, I decided I'm going to work out and get healthy. I did.
Hmm.
I've sustained that for 30, 31 years. I've sustained that.
And not only the workout, you probably kept a really good diet as well, right?
Yeah, you kind of go through those. Um,
Ups and downs.
yeah, they were like, don't eat fat, try this. You would try these different things
Hmm.
until you kind of figure it out for yourself. And then you're just like, get rid of the chemicals, and go to natural foods. And you just kind of find what works for you in your body. And so that's what I've done
And I
now.
I really like the fact that at some point in your life you were like, I'm not gonna be like Dan, and I'm gonna build my own life from here on, because we know a lot of people that they are so attached with the past that they just cannot move forward because they are always talking and thinking about the past, and when things go wrong they always blame the past, and it looks like you never really did that.
No, I just got, even to this day, I get up every day and just try to do a little bit better today and to try to, I stay focused on the goals ahead of me. Um, you, if you're always looking in the rear view mirror, you can't see what's ahead of you, and I wanted to focus on what's ahead of me and work towards those goals I had for myself. And I always say, it was God, hard work, and determination. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of rough days and a lot of failing and a lot of just falling down and having to get back up and having those days you just cry, but then you got to get it back up the next day and start over and get it done.
So there was never a moment that you thought about quitting or anything like that. You always took your time to, digest, even if you had to cry, but digest the situation and think, well, tomorrow is a new day. I'm gonna do it again.
Yes, because I was determined to write a new book and I was determined that my kids wouldn't be raised like I was and to create a better life for them and to stop that cycle of abuse and neglect and provide a healthy and safe environment for my kids. And that kept me going, that kept me focused on better things.
Right, right. But I mean, the sports side of your life, the athleticism and those tournaments, races, and everything. This is not your really career, right? This is more like a side hobby that you pursue on your own, right? So, it is you live by doing this.
Yeah, I'm a full-time social worker, so I work all day and then I do coaching on the side and then I just work out like everybody else.
So it's even more impressive because you don't do this for living. You don't have sponsor or anything. You do this because you love doing it, because you want to keep challenge you, and because you establish those goals and you go after it. It kind of motivates you, and it helps you to continue move forward even in your personal life.
Yes, and it's really important to me to show that everyday people can endure and overcome these obstacles. I literally, one night a good friend of mine told me, you can do this. Do an Ironman. I was like, do an Ironman? I don't even know how to swim. And he said, you can do it. And that's all it took. It took somebody to tell me I could do it. And I went home that night. I got on my phone and I registered for a sprint triathlon, a half Ironman, and a full Ironman that night. And then I had to train myself how to swim via YouTube. I bought an $800 bike and I would go out. We lived near Texas Motor Speedway and I would just do circles, you know. And then I had the running down, but I had to learn to train, you know, doing the running and the biking and the swimming all together. But I wrote my own coaching plan and I trained myself and I was successful. So I just want to, you don't have to have all the money, you don't have to have the coach, but you have to be willing to work hard and be willing to get out of your comfort zone to grow and learn and get
and
it.
you have to be willing to fail because probably many times you tried to do the right thing, it didn't work in the first attempt, and then you kept trying. So you have to be willing to fail and persist in your plan.
Continually, I'm still falling, right? We're always failing, but you got to get back up and keep fighting. And I'm just determined to do that until my story ends.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And for those race, one of the things that I think is quite amazing about people that race is that they are most of them that not really focusing on winning. They are focusing finishing. Is that also your focus? Ensure that you are able to finish.
Finishing and enjoying the journey is really important to me. I like ultra running is my favorite, and just being out in nature. Um, and I just feel free when I run.
And for those that are listening, what is the difference between the marathon, the ultra, and the Ironman?
So the marathon is 26.2, and ultra is anything past that. An Ironman is a 2.4 miles open water swim, 112-mile bike ride, and a 26.2-mile run.
How long it usually takes the Ironman to finish the whole tournament, the whole race?
Everyone's different. My last one was about 12 and a half hours.
Wow, non-stop.
No stop. Just to eat my peanut butter and jellies. And I do, people make fun of me because I stop halfway on the bike and take a lunch break. It's kind of an ongoing joke. I like my
But
breaks.
for how long that break goes? Like 5 minutes?
About 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
That's interesting.
But it mentally gets me in the right mental spot because I tell myself, okay, you're halfway done with the bike. You only have half to go. You know, I break down everything into small increments. Like instead of thinking of the whole Ironman, you're like, okay, I just got to get through with the swim. And then you mentally get yourself ready. Oh, I just need to get to my lunch break, which is the half on the bike. And then you tell yourself, I just need to get to the finish line on the bike. And then you tell yourself, okay, I just need to do 1 mile at a time and finish the marathon. And then you're done. Instead of thinking of the whole thing and allowing it to overwhelm you.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
pretty
good. That's good.
worked for me.
Because it's almost like small wins, right? You keep focusing on those small wins until you finish the everything.
Right.
Yeah,
And really,
that's a good
life
strategy.
is. Mm-hmm.
And,
Like the ultra event.
yeah, go ahead.
Life is an ultra event, and that's how I've gotten through life is just breaking it down into small steps, sometimes one day at a time, some days one moment at a time. Um, but if you break it down and simplify it, you can get through it.
You seems to be that person that look at the cup with half water and say it's half full instead of saying it's half empty, right? So you're very positive as well.
Yes. And I'm a huge believer in self talk and just not giving a voice to that pain. Um, if you're out running and it's pouring down rain, you just focus on the positives. If you tell yourself it's miserable, I hate this, I want to quit, that's what your marathon's going to be. If you tell yourself I get to be out here, I get to enjoy the day, I have the physical body to do this, it's going to be a totally different experience for you.
So you never really get anxious or nervous before those races. I mean, since the beginning, or you did had those feelings and you improve over time.
With the open water swim, I've really struggled. I've had bad panic attacks. This last Ironman in Cozumel, I had never did an open water swim without a wetsuit, and when I got there, I found out I couldn't wear a wetsuit. Um, so I got up there, and it was either quit or just swim without the wetsuit,
Hmm.
and so sometimes you just got to jump in and swim. And so that's what I did. And then once you do that, you're like, oh, I can swim without a wetsuit. I don't need a wetsuit, or once you complete something you've worked really hard for, when you complete that marathon, you're like, oh, what else can I do? Maybe I could do an ultra. And then you complete the ultra and you're like, maybe I could do an Ironman. And then you're like, maybe I can do 100-mile ultra, So those, like you stated, those little wins are big.
Yeah,
They're big.
yeah, because it also helps to condition your mental state to keep improving and to face your fears, right? I mean, when you said you were struggling in the open water, you were basically facing one of your fears, and then you were able to overcome that fear and able to finish.
Yes, because what is your option? I was either going to jump in that water or I was going to turn around and face 2,000 people and walk out and say I quit. So those were my only choices. And I think really that's what life's about. You can quit or you can get back up and keep moving forward.
And how it was the first 5 minutes on that water as soon as you jump.
Oh, I had a terrible panic attack. And then I hit this really cold spot and I just froze. I just froze. But then I just practiced breathing. I saw the others swimming. So then I just doggy paddled over to them.
Hmm.
And then I got back into my groove. But I had to just stop and breathe and take some time to get my heart rate under control
Really?
and just start doggy paddling until I got back in with them and got back in with the flow. And then I finished.
How long it was the this swimming? Like 30, 40 minutes, something like that, or more?
It was more. I think it was over an hour. And then it stormed on the bike ride. It stormed. And but like I said, you just keep going. And then you finish and then you're on the run.
Do you have any memory of the most difficult out of those races that you've done? Which one was the most difficult one for you to finish?
Uh, Ironman Kentucky. Um,
Why?
it was my husband's first, and it was freezing cold and it was pouring. And we got in line and we're in line to start the Ironman. And then we heard a rumor that they put the pros in, but because of the current in the water, they took the pros out and they rerouted it so it was a quicker. We went downstream. So it took a while to get up there. My toes were blue by the time we got up there. And then got up there, jumped in, and I was freezing when I got out. I was so cold and so swollen. The volunteers had to help change me and get my clothes on for the bike ride. Then I got on the bike ride and I thought, okay, I just need to start going, because then once I start moving and it was a hilly ride, my body will warm up. But my body never warmed up. I was shaking and I had hypothermia. And then about 30 miles in was the first rest stop, and they moved the rest stop into the school. And I just told them I need to go into the school, and I heard my husband yelling my name, and I was like, where is he coming from?
Hmm.
And he was sitting in the car with some other athletes with the heaters warming up. And so we go into the school, and I told them, I said, we're going to go straight into the restrooms and go to under the hand dryers, and we're going to warm up. That's all I could think of was get under those hand dryers and warm up. But we couldn't get warm even after 10 minutes. So
Wow.
we came out, and there were like five of us, and we came up with this plan. Um, we stripped down, we found some medical blankets, we wrapped ourselves in medical blankets, duct taped them, then took the mylar blankets, wrapped ourselves, and then we threw away our socks. We wrapped our feet in mylar, and we put mylar on our head underneath our helmet. And then we went back out. We just were not prepared for the rain. That was the problem. And that's what we learned. Oh, always come prepared. Um,
All
so
the people were prepared, or do you,
no, there were a lot of people getting on the bus due to the hypothermia. They were getting out of the event. Um, and we go, and then I did about a circle, and then I stopped again at the same rest stop because it was a couple loops. And I was determined to go back under that hair dryer and warm back up. Um, but by this time, there was a bus out there and a U-Haul because people were getting off the course. They were bussing them out and putting their bikes in the
hmm.
U-Haul. And they're like, "Are you going to quit?" And I was like, "No. If they kick me off the course, I'm done." And then by this time, there's only about five of us left. And I called us the team never quitters. They were people you would not think were even athletes. And we're just out there doing our best. And we all just agreed if they take us off the course, we're done. But they didn't. And we got back to the tent, and I was so cold still. My hands were still so swollen. They changed my clothes for me again. I left the mylar on, but then I went and did the marathon and finished, and we prevailed.
That's amazing.
that was that was the hardest one we've
It
done.
was when was that last year?
2018.
2018. So probably from there, that experience, you learn a lot. To you know, as you just said, what to bring, how to prepare. What was the most important lesson learned from that one?
Never give up. Just keep going. And yeah, it's better to have too much than not enough.
Hmm.
It's better just to bring it all with you if you don't need it. You don't need it, but it's better to have
Yeah.
it there with you.
When you are preparing for a season, do you kind of map already all the races throughout the year, and you say, I'm gonna do this, this, and that, or you go? I mean, you don't really have this plan throughout the entire season. You just go as it becomes available.
No, we map them out.
And do you
Probably a
try to
year
do
or two.
do you do try to do some races in spring, summer, and winter, or you don't? It doesn't matter which season of the year it is.
It's really just what's going on in life. Like this year, the big goal was to finish me and my husband together finish 50 marathons in 50 states. So that was kind of our big goal this year. And then we did Ironman Cozumel. Those were our two big events. Um, this year, we're trying to save leave from work and money. So I'm doing Ironman Texas solo without my husband. And then I am also doing a 100-mile trail run. So those will just be my two big events this year.
Any plans to do any race in Europe?
We'll see.
There is any one in particular that you're like, wow, I would love to do that one?
No. Mm-mm.
No.
No.
So now that you already went through all these 100 races and the Ironman, the Ultra, you mentioned that what the next goal is, but do you map just your next step, or you have like a vision of, long-term vision? That's what I want to be like 2 years from now.
No, I just take baby steps. Um, like right now, I'm just focused on I have Ironman Texas in April, and then I know I have to start training for the 100-mile trail run. So after I finish the Ironman in Texas, I'll start training for the 100-mile trail run.
So since you have your job, a full-time job that you are very occupied, and the coach on the side, what time do you train? Early in the morning, at the end of the day, lunchtime?
Yeah, I get up between 3:30 and 4 every day.
Wow, really?
Hmm. And I go to bed by 9 at the very latest. I live a very disciplined life, but I thrive in discipline, and I thrive um, living on a schedule works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy getting up early in the morning. I love the early mornings. You just If you know you're going to go out on a date with your spouse Friday night, you need to adjust your schedule. You have to do things a little differently and plan ahead. But for the most part, I just live a very disciplined life. And I tell people to this day, I have to get all my workout gear the night before. I need to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's ready and set to go in the morning, so I have no excuse. I just got to grab it and go. And I've been doing that for 20, 30 years.
Wow.
But that's me.
Consistency is very important, right? Because a lot of people fail also because they are able to do the plan for a couple weeks, and then they start derail the plan and they never go back on track. And so discipline and consistency are very important.
Yes. And for me, it's just you, every day you do something to better yourself and become 1% better, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means going the extra mile or reading 10 pages in a book or spending more time in prayer or meditation. Every day I try to do something to better myself.
So you started, and then your husband joined you on this journey. When he joined because he got super motivated to see you doing it, or because you influenced him a lot to do it.
I think a little of both, but mainly I think I influenced them, and it's really helped our marriage and brought us closer together. And when we started on the 50 states journey, I just read about it in the newspaper. A man with MS did 50 marathons in 50 states. And I was like, if a man with MS can do this, I can do
Yep,
this.
yep.
I woke up my husband. It was like 4 in the morning, and I was like, we are going to do this. And he agreed to do it. And the compromise was he said, I'll do it as long as we enjoy the journey. We take our time and we do it right. We go these different states, we do the marathons, and then we, spend some time vacationing. And when our kids were younger, we'd just take them with us. That was our vacation, and we do the marathon as soon as we got there. And then we have vacation the rest of the time with our kids. Um, and once we started doing it, he ended up enjoying the journey more than I did. And a bonus was our kids were aging through this process and we became empty nesters. So it ensured we spent that quality time together training and going to these marathons before they left.
Mm-hmm.
So our marriage was really strong when we became empty nesters because we had all that time together. It forced us to spend time together
Yeah.
because things were always coming up with the kids. He didn't have a tournament, then he had a tournament, or one of the kids had this, but we're like, no, we made this plan, we trained for it, and we did it, and we spent that time together. And so I really think it helped our marriage a lot, and it helped with the transition to becoming an empty nester.
Yeah. So this basically means that every year y'all were competing at some race. Now comes the question: in 2020, when we had the lockdown, probably was a pretty hard on you guys, right? Because you were so active, and now you cannot do it, and there is nothing available for you to do. So how did you handle that?
Honestly, it was the best year we ever had. We were scheduled to do marathons. They got canceled, so we went to trail runs, which are my very favorite. So we did a trail run in Bryce Canyon. They just kind of open it up. They like say show up between this time, and you have this much time to finish the 50 miles or 30 miles or whatever you're doing. So there wasn't that one-on-one contact, and it was like a drive-through packet pickup. So we did Bryce Canyon. We did an ultra in Lake Tahoe. Well, at Bryce Canyon, we did the ultra, and then we spent a week
Was that
hiking. And
was that in
was there?
2020 during the lockdowns?
Yes. And then we went to Tahoe. We did an ultra, and then we went boating, and then we went to Jackson and ran, and then we went to the national parks. And there was really nobody there, so we really enjoyed all the trail runs that year. We just flipped it. Instead of marathons, we did trail runs,
It,
trail ultra.
interesting. Yeah.
And then the planes were empty and the flights were cheap, and we were healthy, so we weren't, everybody was different. Everybody handled it differently,
Yeah.
but that's how. Um, so actually, it was one of our best years.
Yeah, I guess because even for you to train, you don't really depend a lot on gym, right? You probably go to the gym, but for you to prepare, you just need to run and to swim, right, and to ride a bike. So you are really not depend on having to go to the gym and use equipment and things like that.
And then it was the end of 20, I think it was 2020. Yeah, at the end of 2020, they only had one Ironman and it was in November. And I was registered and did that one. But I didn't train because I really didn't think it was going to happen. They were all canceled that year except Florida in November. And I just did it. I already had the base. So I just did a 6-week training plan. I would do like an 18-mile run and then an 80-mile bike or 60-mile bike, and then the next weekend a 20-mile run and an 80-mile bike, and then the next weekend like a 22-mile run and a 100-mile bike. And then I reversed that. I came down
Hmm.
to the back down to the 18. So it was just a 6-week training plan, and it worked. It went great. I had a great day. So I was blessed to be able to get into the only Ironman that year. I mean, I was slow, but it was a great day.
Yeah, yeah. For
So I really got lucky with the COVID.
Well, that's great. That's really good to know. Throughout those races and years competing, and do you have any injury that had do you had to stop at some point because of an injury, or are you pretty healthy on that?
I caused my own bike wreck, which is a whole story in itself. And so I had an MCL tear. Um, I've had little things, but I just figure out what I can do. So if I'm injured and I can't run, I go swim. You know, if I can't swim and I can bike, I go bike. If I can't do anything with the leg, I'll go kayak. So if I get injured, I just figure out what I can do and focus on that.
Hmm.
Most injuries you can still swim. So that's been a blessing with the swimming, being able to swim.
But this ACL problem was during a race, or it was not on a race?
It was not on a race. I threw a bag on one shoulder and it slid off my shoulder, got under my tire, and I flipped over my handlebars and I was locked in. My feet were locked in.
Wow.
I just caused myself an MCL tear, but
Did you had to had any surgery to fix that? No.
no, I just had to be off it a long time. So
And that one
I did
you
a
really
lot of.
had to take off, right?
Hmm.
How was the mindset during that time, since you are so extremely active?
It was fine. Like I said, I just focus what I can do. I just don't have time to go there mentally.
Mm. That's
I
interesting because I mean I had a major injury in 2020, and I'm also extremely active, and to me it was really hard to had a surgery and to just rest for months. It was difficult, very difficult. And actually, it was
yeah,
the main reason I created the podcast, because I was interviewing a lot of athletes that had similar issues, and everyone is different. Everyone handles differently. It's just awesome the way that you handle things. You don't really focus on the problem. You try to do other things, and I've been learning how to incorporate those things in on my routine, because I think it's amazing what you are able to do.
yeah, there's a quote. It says, "If you stay in your head, you're dead." So, if I just think on those things all the time, it messes with me. So I just have to stay positive and just stay in the right mindset. You
Mm-hmm.
know, for me personally, because otherwise I don't do well. you know, it's just, and I will say, I work at Children's Protective Services. I worked there 17 years, and working there puts life into perspective, because you really every day you realize what's really important, and it's not um, how fast I went on a marathon, or did I get hurt today, because there's a lot of people in a lot of real serious pain. So that's truly a great gift, that I come home every day with the right perspective,
Yeah.
and it puts everything into perspective.
Do you think your early days, struggle from the early days, also help you to always put things in perspective?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. You probably look back and were like, well, I've been through so many stuff that this is nothing.
Yes, when I have a bad day, that's what I have to focus on, is what I have overcome, and stay focused on that. And I think that's for a lot of people, a lot of people who survive trauma, they got to figure out, how did I overcome the trauma in my past? How can I use that now to get me through this struggle?
Yep. Yep. Um, what is your advice for, as you said, regular people that are trying to establish a program and just get back in shape and challenge a little bit, but they are already after 40s? Because sometimes a lot of people, and including myself, I started to really challenge myself in sports. I was 39, and now with 47, I've been doing this consistently for 8 years. It's fun, but with time and age, sometimes it's hard to recover, and recover, is so important. And sometimes the mind wants to do something, but the body said, "Whoop, you need more rest." So how you handle that?
Well, I have you beat, because I'm 48. um, in regards to that, I just think now more than ever, the older you get, you have to listen to your body. Like, I just I did a marathon in Maui, came back, waited a week, did a 10-mile run. Then I went out the next day and I was going to do another 10-mile run, I think. But at mile 4, my hip just started hurting, and that's never happened. I don't even know what caused it, but I quit right away. I had to listen to my body right away and quit running. And then I just walked, and then I realized, oh, I can spin, I can do bike, and it's fine. I can swim, and it's fine. And then my friend is a chiropractor, and she works on soft tissue, and so she helped me work it out. And she said it's not a big deal. I just need to let it rest and heal. So I just have to listen to my body, do what I can. Like I said, I can spin, and I can swim, so I'm just focusing on that until I'm able to run again. So I think the key for me is as you get older, now it's more important to listen to your body and to stretch and to recover
The
and get sleep. Sleep's
yeah.
huge, eating is huge.
Since you said that you've been doing this for 30 years, what the experienced Pollyann would say to the hooky Pollyann as far as race that you learn over time and you made a lot of mistakes in the beginning?
What would I say to my younger
Yep.
self? Just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the journey.
So you're saying that in the beginning you were more concerned about the race itself and you put a lot more pressure on you, and now you don't do that. You enjoy more now than you used to.
Yes. And like I said, self-talk is huge. It's funny. I used to be like, oh, it's going to rain. I used to check the weather. Oh, it's going to rain. We're going to go run in the rain, and it would get you all flustered. Like you just watch the 7-day forecast. And now I'm just like, oh, it's going to rain. Just enjoy the rain. It's going to still be a beautiful day. You're going to get through it. You might have a blister or two, but you will get through it. Those little things. But you see so many people be so hard on themselves, they end up just quitting, right?
Yeah.
Because they become over and then they get injured because they're pushing themselves so hard and they're so stressed out that they can't enjoy it. And what my husband and I have learned doing this over the years is the people who just enjoy the journey really continue to go on with the sport.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. For not only for race, for everything. It's very important to enjoy and to have fun and to really take advantage of that moment. And many times you only realize that when you suffer a major injury that made you not be able to do what you like to do, and then when you do it again after you recover, you're like, wow, it feels so good just the fact that I'm here, right? I don't even know if I'm gonna win or if I'm gonna have a good my time will be better than last time, but as long as I'm here and I finish, that's all.
Yeah, and progress takes time too. Don't expect these quick, sexy results, to happen overnight. It's going to take time and give yourself grace through the process.
Do you
And then,
always do you always kind of compare your times? And because I know you already said that the most important thing to you is to finish, but as an athlete, do you also keep measuring your time and see if you are making progress? And if not, you do make some adjustments on the training?
no, people laugh at me about this, but I don't time myself at all. I time myself only once in one marathon, and that was to qualify for Boston. And then I qualified for Boston. And then even when I got to Boston, I was like, the hard work's done. I'm going to enjoy it. I was taking candy from kids, high five, enjoying it. And I've never timed myself again. And I do everything by feel. If I feel great, I run harder. If I don't, I slow down. So I do everything by feel and I don't time myself at all.
Interesting, very interesting. So at the
Mhm.
end of the day, as you said, for you is about enjoying and finishing. That's those are the ultimate goals.
Yes.
And comes the other point about longevity. Do you plan to keep doing this until when?
Until my body tells me differently. People always say, what about your knees? What about your joints? I feel amazing. I'm 48. I feel the best I've ever felt. Um, if it gets to a point I can't run, I'll just hike and kayak. I'll just figure out what I can do,
Uh-huh.
and enjoy that. It's just that, it just might be a new season.
So you don't have any joint problem at all. You have no pain, nothing.
No, I feel amazing. I feel really good.
The day, what happens on the day after the race? Do you feel just pure soreness and then you rest? There is any routine that you go through after the race?
I'm all about active recovery, so I'll go out and explore, do a lot of walking, just keep moving. I think for me, the worst thing I can do is just like lay on the couch and let everything tighten up. So just active recovery again, rehydrating, eating healthy, and keeping your body moving.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you're almost like you don't take a break at all. If sounds like.
Well, I just like walk and swim um, but I do think it's important. I think active recovery is important. I I personally just laying around, my muscles seem to tighten up.
Mm.
Does that make
Yep,
sense?
yep.
If I'm out walking and moving or swimming, it's just keeping them going until I feel really good again, and then I'll run. I'll listen to my body, and when I feel like, okay, I feel back to myself, we can start running again. So I do everything by feel.
And since you do everything by feel, it will vary according to the that moment in time how you're feeling, which means that you really don't have a pattern or routine that you do post race. It's not that like you're gonna do some massage, some cryotherapy to recover. You try to be as simple as possible.
Yes, and I'm on a budget, so a lot of those things don't fit in the budget. So I just do what I can afford and what I can do, and what I know my body needs.
Just one curiosity here: when you were preparing to the Ironman, you knew that the water was going to be cold. You knew that, right? You probably knew that the open water will be cold. When you were preparing, were you already swimming in the cold water?
Yeah, with a wetsuit. Hmm.
Oh, okay. That's why you freak.
And
That's why you freak out, right? That's why you freak out because you didn't have the wetsuit.
well, no, in Cozumel, the water was warm. We were actually standing in the rain, freezing, and we are all waiting to get in the water because we knew we'd warm up once we got in the water. And then I just hit a really cold spot. I don't know what causes that in the ocean, but there's these cold spots, and I veered off and hit that cold spot. But overall, the water was very warm, and that's why they don't let you wear this wetsuit because of the temperature of the water.
It was like what, 70 maybe?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'd be lying if I guessed. I don't know. It was warm though. It was warmer in the water than outside.
But when you prepare here in Texas, do you go to a lake to swim?
Yes. Hmm.
And the lake is cold.
Sometimes it matters what time of the year it is. It's warm in the summer and cooler in the winter. And I struggle. I struggle. Open water swim is the very hardest thing for me. I have a panic attack every time I get in that water. A couple times I wanted to quit. Uh, One time I didn't even know that you were supposed to raise your hand to get out of the water to get somebody to help you. So I kept going because I didn't know how to get help. Um, but open water swim is the most difficult for me. If I can get through the swim, I'm good. But that's my biggest struggle.
Wow, I can imagine. Well, Pauline, thank you very much. I think that was a great story to share. I'm really glad Kelly introduced me to you, and she was the one that brought your background and everything. And I was like, well, I gotta talk to her on the podcast to make sure that she share her story and the struggles and all the things that. She accomplished over the years. So thank you very much for taking the time to record this.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you very much. And stay tuned. We have much more to